Hello, and I am really sorry for the delay. It was something that was out of my control, trying to set up my webcam. Okay, Sunday evening, and we are ready to start. Going to start with PLO 20 at Micro Gaming. Let's see if we can find some tables. And as normal, you can use Twitch chat or you can use Pot Limit chat. They are both visible in the stream and I can see them both, so please be active, keep some noise. We will have around 2-minute delay just for security reasons. And as we have only one table, it's quite easy to concentrate. No reason to open this hand. It's decent hand, it has nice structure, but it's not going to flop monsters that often. So let's see the free flop and proceed from there. Bottom pair, some backdoors, but if anyone puts any money on this board, there's no reason to continue. And we have our second table open. Let's try to make a nice layout here. And we actually need 2 more. Oh, I miss PokerStars lobby so much when playing on other networks. But yeah, so I don't have any set topic in mind, so feel free to propose anything that you want to hear me discussing about. Or if you have any questions about PLO, Poker Life, Poker Mania, whatever. Here it's 20 cents. We have 2 backdoor flush draws and we have middle pair. So I'm going to call this 1 bet and let's see what happens on the turn. And they both check, so quite strange. And we actually split the pot with 9-8. Wow. If you have any problems with the stream, just let me know. And there's a fan from Dubai. This is English chat. I'm in English coaching today, so please use English if you're going to comment. But there's one of our Finnish members is in Dubai. I hope it's warm in there. Today in Finland we actually had what are those small ice balls that come from the, I think it's called hailstorm. So we should be approaching summer, but we had snow and hailstorm and we have some minus in Celsius during the nights. Let's see who is in this table. Unknown reckoner. As we don't have any action, let's join this heads up. And let's see how it works out. A Finnish reckoner, most likely reckoner sits in empty table with 20 euros. never seen that name, so probably he has changed his name or her name. You never know. On demo 1, we're going to put it. And we flop the inside wrap on flushing board. Against two passive-ish guys. I'm going to check here. And another Finnish player. Now we have 3 Finnish players on 1 PL20 table. Not sure how profitable it is. And now this guy pots here, so I'm just going to pin away. Then we have aces. He's shorty. Let's see what small blind does, and he raises up. I'm going to put away. It's a rainbow. No possibilities for straights. If we had called, then now on the flop it's problematic because we would have the bottom pair on flushing and straighting board. And here Jonko calls our flop C bet and turn completes the flush. So I'm just going to give up. No reason to make hero calls against unknowns. I'm going to be on a waiting list on some of the full tables. Funny thing that after 3 Nina made a big c-bet on the ace-king-queen board and then folded to a raise, which means that most likely he doesn't have a flush, he doesn't have a set. So why bet that big? Now there's an aggressive player on the table. At least it's an interesting one. And I'm going to mark some of these players. I'm going to open this one after the limper. And bottom set once again. Kind of bored that when we have a really aggressive player, well, now he is not going to raise with blockers, but if they both genuinely bet, then someone might make a blocker move. And once again, he bets big. So now the question is either he has a straight and he's barreling, but I should have. I'm actually going to value bet here on demo 1 because we have ace 10 against any ace queen, ace jack, we actually win. I'm going to fold this one. Because when he barrels the turn, well, of course on the flop I shouldn't have a straight. But the board is rainbow, so I definitely have a straight in my calling range when there's an aggressive player. Not sure if he knows that. But I definitely have something, so if he's bluffing with air, it's kind of bold bluff. Of course, he's Finnish, might easily be capable of that. But in his range, he also has aces. He might have the middle set. He might have the straight. And he didn't actually think for that long, so I would assume that decent amount of time he's going to have the hand. Table 1, I'm going to fold. That just wouldn't make sense with. And we don't make our straight. But river is good for bluffing when it bears the board and we win the pot. On table 4, he doesn't see bet, which means that either he has a small straight or small flush or some kind of sets or two pairs. So I'm going for thin value on the river actually with aces. If he happens to have a set of tens or deuces. And he makes a small raise. Well, it shouldn't be a blocker because he didn't bet the flop. So could he slow play? He is not flush, not sure. Strange line. But then again, all we can beat is pure bluff, and would he call the turn with hand that doesn't beat us? Maybe some middle set, but why turn it to a bluff? Unless he thinks that our small bet was a blocker bet with small flush, who knows? Schwarzenegger is asking why do we fold Jack 10, 8, 9? Because we have only inside straight out, and there's flush on the board. The board was Queen 8 something, so we have only Jack 10, 9. We didn't have a big wrap. We have a 9 out of wrap. And 43-0 is not going to pot with just a flush draw. He always has a better hand. So if he has a flush draw and a better hand, then we have only 6 outs. And 6 outs is not enough to call pot size bet. If we had a queen, Jack 10, 9, then it would be easy call. Betting Paul has been easy today. I've marked him with yellow because I remember in one session he came and basically shoved any hand pre-flop for half an hour. Might be that he was tilted then, who knows. Let's see how his stats work out here. Here we actually going to see bet here. We have a flush draw and cut shot. And we clear a raise. It's 270 in the total pot of 10 or something, so it's not even a pot size bet. So I think we can call, and let's see if we can hit something. Now we get more outs, and it's only under half what we have open ender and a flush draw. So I would assume that against anything. Oh, he had a king. I'm going to call here, and now we make the nuts on the river. Although it's an easy call. And he had a flush draw. That's why he bet so small. Nice. We were in a pretty bad shape. 9% on the flop, 15 on the turn. And on the turn, 15 is actually quite close with the implied odds. So even if I knew that we have just 15%, he bet €4 in the pot of 10, so it's €4 in the pot of 18. Or was it like that? Too bad the replay doesn't work. But that's what I remember it was. So we need like 20% even without the implied odds. Just over 20. And we had implied odds for around €12 or something. But yeah, we got lucky there. He was crushing us. So now I have another table. I'm going to keep it here on the outside so I can show it to you when something funny happens. And here I'm going to check call on the turn. Oh, he checks behind. Means that I'm blocking, he shouldn't have aces, I'm blocking the kings, so not sure what he has. He had pocket jacks with the cut shot. Here I'm going to isolate this Finnish regular. Hand is not perfect, but it's decent. And now on this board we actually have a bottom pair and open ender, and it's kind of board that I would assume he's going to attack quite often. Because it's really hard for us to hit as strong as we would need to call it separation. So I'm going to check back, and we make two pairs on the turn and open ender. And let's try to take it showdown. 4 is kind of blank. Let's see. And he had pocket kings. Callan is one thing that when you comment about the hands, please remember that we have too many delay. So when I see your message in the chat, I have played the hand a couple of hands ago. So please say what was the hand. I would assume that, yeah, when we had jack, our flush draw can be dead, but then it's a situation where opponent probably has like set with the flush draw, and it is unlikely. It can happen, but it's unlikely. We have to play against the range. But yeah, it's a spot. If he had bets bigger on the turn, then the decision might be a bit harder. But if opponent has both sets and are flush draw dominated, then it's kind of shit happens situation. I wouldn't be too worried about those, because when you start to fear that you are afraid of playing any flush draw because the opponent might have not flush draw with his set, then you are going to fold on. And more often he doesn't have the flush draw with the set. And when he raised us, it wasn't a pot size raise. It was smaller than pot size raise. And 40 cents, we actually make the straight in the pot of 2.3. I'm going to call here, and he had a backdoor flush. I'm going to barrel here when the board pairs, and huge folding really. Hello Blitzkrieg. Welcome to our PLO evening. We are probably going to play for 1.5 hours, and as we started a bit late, we are going to play somewhere to 11:30. But we cannot go further because I hurt my back today while playing football, the American version. So sitting for a long time doesn't do good for my back. One thing that I wanted to do, let's see if I can do it while streaming, came into my mind today that somewhere long time ago I used a bigger pointer in my coachings. So I'm going to do it today. But where do I change it? Oh, guys, help me out. How do you change the pointer, the size of the arrow? Was it in here? Oh, there it is. We have Jumbo, Jumbo, Jumbo. Now it's probably easier to spot on my screen. I hope. We make the straight here. Wow. I'm actually going to call because they all check the flop. So let's see what happens on the river. Interesting, and he bets big. And I know he's capable of aggression. And he was the opener, so he could easily check. the flop with 9. And he hasn't been aggressive today. So I'm going to pass this one. I assumed that if he had a bluff or some kind of overpair or just a 9, we flop the quads versus. I'm going to make a half a pot C bet because he's a regular. He might make some moves or call with the flush draw. If we check, it's really hard to get value from him. And he does call, which is nice. And now let's hope he has some kind of draw, so let's make a small bet. Well, my computer froze, okay. A nice river. He might have something. Oh, he falls out, probably a flush draw. On table 3, we have the nuts on the turn, no action. And here we have a middle pair and cut shot. If we have any folding equity versus aces, then we can shove here. And against aces, we should have decent equity. And he folds, which is nice. So when we combine the folding equity and the actual equity, shoving is easily a good option. Oh, blitzkrieg, please, ephedrine then. We might have seen you when we were playing on PokerStars. And another quads. It's an avalanche of quads. Now there's straight flush. Let's make a half a pot bet. Make it look like a bluff. Oh, he had pocket tens. Bummer. Now, our opponent hit 13% equity. Here, Finnish Mercedes-Benz guy raises us, makes us min raise, and we have the straight and we have the flush draw. If we raise, do we get value from anything? So let's just call. Wow, what a small bet sizing. We have the second nuts and redraw, and we have 2 pairs. I'm going to shove because bet is so small. Let's shove. If he has Jack 8, it would be quite sick call on the turn, and he has 2 pairs. Wow, you never know what they have. So he did all that with 2 pairs, and now on level 3, it's a big 3-bet pot, and we hit the trips and open enders, so definitely stack off situation. Now I'm just going to shove. We have SPR of pretty much 1, so it doesn't really matter how much we bet, it's going to be all in anyway. And as long as he doesn't have pocket queens, we are in decent shape. Nuts on table 1. And he has aces and 5s. Can we dodge them? Yes, we can. I have no idea why after 3-bet he decides to check call. Against 3 opponents, I would have check folded that. Queen 10 with flush draw flop. Quads in PLO is not that rare, but quads in Hold'em is a bit rare, and Alan had them twice. Lockbox. So nice start for the session. Nuts everywhere. And now nothing happens, but we can mark some opponents. I'm going to, yeah, Mercedes-Benz guy, Mersumies. That raise on the flop with 2 pairs, call my raise on the turn with 2 pairs, and step off on the river with 2 pairs. I would call that one as a good customer. Half a pot bet. Oh, not going to call. On the outside table, I'm going to put it here. We have middle set on flush draw board. Opponent is call happy passive player, and I am going to bet for value against flush draws, 2 pairs, and the flush completes, which sucks, but he didn't bet himself, and he had 2 pairs. Wow. That's what happens when you try to put recreationals to a range. But those really passive coin stations are really nice opponents because they don't make bluffs. So if he bets the river, then it's quite sure that he has the flush and we can make a fold. Every time when you are playing against really straightforward opponent who doesn't do any moves or bluffs, but plays straightforward poker, it's kind of easy because you can make good decisions. Of course, if they hit their river all the time, you might get frustrated, but you can make correct decisions. And we shouldn't be worried about the outcome of the hand if we win or lose, big or small pot. We should be worried about just making the right decisions. And if we do right decisions often enough, then eventually we should be winning money. Because we can't affect on if we win or not straight. I cannot decide that today we're going to win. But I can decide and affect that today I'm going to play good poker. At the moment for Blitzkrieg, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tables running on PLO 20, and that's probably the most we have ever seen. Often there's 4 to 6 tables on PLO 20 and same on PLO 10. But now it's the peak hour, Saturday evening. But the field in general, it's hard to say if it's softer than at PokerStars, because there are a lot of regulars in here, there are a lot of regulars in PokerStars, there are fishies here, there are fishies at PokerStars. It depends how good you are in profiling players, marking them, and table select. Because at PokerStars, if you can find and table select good tables, there are some really juicy tables. And at the smaller networks, if you want to bet below 20, you have these 6 or 7 tables at maximum that you just have to play if you want to multi-table, so you cannot table select. If I had any of these two pairs, I'm going to fold this ace king. Everyone checks flop and turn, so it's good spot to bluff. No one should have a straight here ever, but someone might have two pairs or something, so I'm not sure if he's going to make that bluff. I would assume that he has some two pair type of hand. Now we have two nits here. On our left, great for stealing the blinds. That's one of the good things at PokerStars, that if you have like 30 or 40 tables running, you can just table select 6 of the best ones, and once they become not so great, you can just change and find a new table, and that's a poker skill among with all the others. I know a lot of players are quite lazy to change the table. They open up 6 tables for the screen and then they just keep on pounding them, and or they don't even think about if any of the tables is good or not. And then even if they think that, oh, this table is not that good anymore, well, what the heck, I'm going to sit here. Then they are giving up a lot of EV. And here, Jürgen check calls the flop and check raises the turn. He can easily have set of queens, but you can also have queen jack. He might have set of sevens. So I'm going to shove here, and if he has queens, then so be it. And he has queens, so that line looks like a set, but I would assume that he makes the same line even with set of sevens or set of queens. And then if he has even one hand other than those, some queen jack king ten type of hand, then we are over 50% equity. Now he had pocket queens and top set on queen jack 7 board, queens and jacks. I would consider it as a setup. So there's nothing we can do about it. I'm just going to make a note. It's a standard line for any regular, but it's always nice to have a note that he's capable of check calling the set and check raising the turn. So now when he just check calls the flops, we don't exclude sets from his range. Nothing is going to happen, and nothing is happening. We should have karaoke evenings. I'm not going to sing, but if any of you, I'm just going to put it. Thought about making smaller to induce something, but he's not going to do anything funny. He's not going to do anything funny. He's not going to do anything funny. So let's just put it and isolate that. It's just when we 3-bet UTG open, it really looks like aces, but not sure if any one of them can exploit that. So we should have karaoke. I'm not going to sing, but if any of you wants to sing, just feel free to send me a message on the Skype, and I will put you on the stream, and you can sing with your background music as much as you want. Oh, nice turn. Definitely going to. Oh, I'm going to bet here for protection against some flush draws. And I don't think he's ever going to raise me with air. He might make a raise with some kind of semi-bluffs, but those are going to have a lot of equity versus me anyway. But then again, we might get a call from the draws, we might get a call from some overpairs. And let's make a half a pot c-bet. So who's going to be the first one to sing in our piano evening? Anyone? Oh, I lost my chip. Damn. And we hit the flop too. I'm going to lead here on a limit pot with the top pair and king high flush draw. Well, we have had some dropped frames, so I hope it's not going to happen again. Let's see what happens on table 1. The outside table, we have top 2 and the nut flush draw versus some kind of recreational who doesn't give us action on the turn. And here he decides to bet and he decides to call. Our only chance to make something is the king high flush, which might be dead when someone calls, and he shoves. Interesting to see if he folds, then we know that he doesn't have a strong hand. He has made a lot of these turn bets when flop is checked. Which doesn't fit to his sort of player profile. Now he is 40 and 10. Oh, he shoves, so he has a hand. It's nice. Oh, what? Oh, he had 4-8. Yeah. Second nuts with the flush draw. Yeah, check 9-7 is great board to attack if he thinks I have an ace-ace. That's why I check the flop back. And Mercedes-Benz guy, how does he? He's 3-bet with ace-jack. Oh, he has such a garbage that I'm going to shove repop. He is 50 BPs deep. So, oh, he had a jacks, which is nice. Let's see if he makes something. No. We were a mile ahead from the start. Yeah, Jack 9-7 is great board to attack with any pair, like any Jack, any 9, any 7 in the hand, any draw. That's why I checked it back, and when the turn was 7, it helps us a lot, because now if he has Jack XXX, his 2 pair outs are dead. But if I see when it's great board to attack with really wide range. So Callan is right. And Jörgen raises first raise from him, but it's kind of situation that we don't have any information to assume he's going to raise here with bluffs, which is going to be profitable. Like 180 is super profitable. Risking 180 to win €2 doesn't have to work that often. But before we have kind of information that he attacks those paired boards, then I'm just going to fold. And if this guy bets here, I'm just going to fold. It's the same guy that was on table 1. Oh, we make the nuts. Oh, we don't make the nuts. But we win the hand. We didn't have 7. Table 1 is going to be bad. I'm going to change it here and put the other one. So we have full tables, and keep this one on the outside in case something happens there. And let's 3-bet this Finnish player. I don't know if there's anyone else besides Finnish players. Half of the players say they are Finnish, and probably the other one is just hiding their hometown. And here we have top pair overs and a cut shot. And it's kind of board that he might attack with quite wide range. So, especially when he thinks that long. I think that we can stack off. Let's see if he actually has the straight. Well, he's thinking for so long that probably he doesn't have. No, he folded. Wow. So if he raise folds, then he really needs to have a weak hand. So I'm going to make a note out of that. This raise folds in 3-bet pot. Heads up to my c-bet on 765 rainbow. So it's nice to know that he can raise fold, so it definitely widens his raising range. So it's not made up with semi-bluffs. He has some basically pure bluffs that can stand a shove. Because he needs, can't remember the stack size is there, but he needs around 25% equity. So I would find it hard to give him a hand that doesn't have 25 against my shoving range. Unless he makes a hero fold and thinks I have the nuts, which is even better. all the drunken Finnish people who wants to sing. If you go to any local pub or nightclub, there's a lot of karaoke's, and someone is always singing and as drunk as hell. So where are all Pokemania's drunken singers? I don't see any messages on my Skype. How is the stream? I'm looking at my statistics. It shows that every now and then the quality goes down a bit. So please let me know if the quality is good. Yeah, we have the nuts on table 3. Let's try to get value from him. When he checks the turn, I don't think he's going to bet the river anymore. If you have some topics in mind around some general PLO situations or some concepts or something, just please tell me. Because in our coachings at Pokemania, there's often these kind of times that nothing is going on at the tables. We have 5 tables open, but nothing interesting is happening for a while. So it would be nice to have a topic to discuss about when those silent moments come. Wow, Nina is actually limping here. So probably he isn't a regular. I don't know any decent regular who limps from cutoff. And blue balls raises. If Lina calls, I'm going to call. If he folds, I'm going to fold. Try pocket pair is not good for calling, especially when opponent's range is so ace heavy. On the outside table, Lina opened from small blind, we called from big blind. On the turn he checked, we bet he calls, and the river we make a full house, so I'm going to make a big value bet here. And he calls with ace queen. Definitely put me on a draw. Yeah, often in karaoke those singers are beyond bad. But that's the beauty of it. And you have to be drunk yourself to listen to them. If you are not drunk, you're sober, and you go to karaoke bar in Finland, it's going to be torture. Here we have on table 4 we have a nice wrap, and we should have a lot of folding equity. So I decide to lead here, and I have 2 callers and the turn pairs, which is kind of good and kind of bad. A good thing is that it slows people from betting if someone was slow playing 6-8 or has a flush draw, but they have some two pairs, some sets in their range, definitely, because there's straight possibility on the board. And now Net Fortuna decides to fire. We have the trips with 2 overs. So if we assume that he has made up full house, we might have up to 10 outs. So I'm not ready to fold yet. He might have bluff there too. So now it's up for the river. And he shoves. Because 9 on the river actually makes it less likely for him to have a full house. 7-5 makes sense. I'm going to pass it. Dayahan, yellow 0 to hero. We were supposed to have a session this month, and of course the month is not over. Let's see if we can schedule a session for next weekend. Not sure if Daya is available. There hasn't been a mutual time to make the session. But yes, there's definitely a new one coming up as soon as we can schedule it. And as soon as we know it, we are going to tell it to you guys. I'm going to isolate the limper, Finnish player, invasion of Finns. Because the button is so tight, he's going to fold quite often here. So, and the small blind is tight one, so we get to be in position. And let's see bet the flop. And kind of interesting turn. If it was a 6 of hearts, I would see bet it. But now, when we actually have 2 pairs, I think we can check back. Oh, we can make full house on the river. Wow. I'm not sure if we can fold it. It's kind of spot that we can easily have a set of jacks and things in our range. Opponent is 71-14. Finnish player. And he has missed wrap. Because in one way, it's really bad river to bluff. Because when I check back that, well, of course, if he doesn't know that I'm often barreling flushing turns with air, then he might think that I don't have anything, and he attacks the river. I'm sure he decides to sub here. I'm cleaning away with my aces, and he doesn't have anything but if I or whatever his name is. He had a queen. Wow. Strange shove from the shorty. If I had a single flush draw here, double suited, I mean one suited, 9, 8, 7, 5, I would have opened after the limper, but when it's rainbow, I just passed. He would have had a full house and probably would have got value from top 2 on the river. I'm going to mark Lena as a green one. BPIP over 50. He has to be a friend. We have slightly over half an hour left in the stream. There has been some interesting situations so far. Often the hardest decisions in my mind are when you actually have some kind of made hand and you have slightly under-repped your hand. So it's a situation where you have to decide if you want to bluff catch the river or not. Because it's really hard to have any set rules for those. For all the standard flop and turn situations, you can often have some kind of rule of thumbs. What to do on these kind of boards, what to do with these kind of hands, and so on and so on. Now is one of those silent moments. Nothing is going on. And we just have to wait. What's on depot 4 for the fair ace? Oh, I'm going to call it almost, it's 1.5 BBs to call from the big blind. So our calling range should be quite wide. But on this board, there's nothing we should do other than fold. It was not our day. Trip tens on table 2. Sometimes you see someone who's really new to PLO, he thinks that he has a set in his hand, and like it's ace, 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 they just heavy in on the flops, almost any flop, or trip tens, they are happy to shove pre-flop because they have trips, and then they wonder why don't they win against dry pair of jacks. It's call against Numio. Regular, and with a 3-bet from the small blind. Not a great situation, but we have so many ways to hit the flop that let's embrace the variance and let's call. And let's miss the flop. But if they both check, then I'm going to stab here for 360. And we get one call. Kind of thing that if I check the turn, it's hard to represent the flush on the river, and if I shove, he's going to call with any set he might have, so we don't have stack depth to barrel him. And if I make not half a pot on the turn, then he has. And after the turn check, I don't think he's going to fold his sets. Oh, he had a 10 high flush. That's one option. I have to pick my chip. Just a second. Can't play without the chip. So I would assume that he made, if I were him, I would have made a bet. Because after the 3-better checks, he looks sort of bluffy. So he gets value from any 2 pairs, some kind of draws, any sets. Or even aces might sometimes check call. Doesn't want to give up for 1 bet. And better 0-0 is from Finland. They are all from Finland. Now there's even more dropped frames. If the stream is on average working fine, we are 200 bps deep with this guy. I'm just going to flat here. As the stream is somewhat working, I'm not going to stop it and change the settings. Let's keep it coming for half an hour. But there are some frozen moments. Let's see what happens here. No one has bet the flop, and now no one probably bets the turn. And river wasn't a spade. We have a straight. Let's take it to the showdown. And we win with the straight. Woo! But no value. Let's make a 3-bet on table 4. Calling is definitely one option too. Let's see what happens. And we flop the nuts. Nuts everywhere, and it's nice board that he might attack. No, he doesn't. We were almost 200 pp's deep, so it would have been a nice situation. If he raises me on the flop, I'm going to shove. We are deep, but if I call, there are so many nasty turns that if he checks, I have to check behind, and then he can throw for free to the river. And we are blocking with 2 9s, 2 10s, all of the possible straights. So the chance for him having a straight and a redraw is really thin. On the outside table, we win a pot of €9, and we get hand history. And we have pocket kings, he has pocket jacks. We see bet the flop he calls. I don't understand why he calls the flop c-bet with pocket jacks. Turn goes check check, and on the river he bets. We bluff catch with the set, he has just the blockers. I don't understand why he bets the flop. And here we have a 3-bet and a 4-bet, so this is the situation when we just dodge away. Oops, robot. I'm going to shove here with 2 pairs. And he had an ace-jack, which sucks. Well, we can be lucky as hell and suck out. I would assume that if he has 2 pairs, he would shove the flop. And that's why I decide to shove my 2 pairs against ace-king, ace-queen. Nice plan, didn't work out. Here on table 3, we can raise from the nith, and there's no straight possibility, so I would assume this is a set, which means that jacks are outs, 9 are outs, and 8 flushes are outs. So we are going to have 11, 13 outs, which is going to hit around almost 30%, and we have some implied odds. We need 33% and we have almost 30. So I'm going to call, and now the board pairs, which sucks. So if he bets, I'm just going to give up. And Mersumies attacks the turn, not going to fold with top pair, and he had nothing. I'm such an aggressive guy, definitely can float the flop. Now he folded with just garbage. And didn't follow through on the river. I don't know what's the problem in the stream, because the upload quality or the ratio is quite bad compared to my internet connection. So I don't know where the problem is, but let's hope we can survive for another 20 minutes or so. I'm going to call here when small blinds decides to open instead of pre-flop. That is so often some kind of Broadway hand. And on flushing board, let's make the bluff. And we get 2 folds. Thank you for the pot. Table 1, he calls the flop, and he's a call happy player, so most likely he's not going to fold the turn. So our options are to barrel on the river and turn, or check the turn and see if we make the nuts. We don't. Pocket 9s might be good. If he bets, I'm just going to fold. And he had ace. Oh, he had a cut shot. Yeah. Never fold a cut shot on flushing board. You have 3 outs. How nice of him not to bet the river. That's why I love these passive calling stations. They make my life so much easier. Oh no, cat alert. Let's see if we can get the cat on the stream. Nope. Not interested. Today, I haven't marked any hands for Poker 2's review, and for the first time it's intentional, because we have to stop in 15 minutes. I have to go and rest my back. So there's no time of doing any Poker 2's analyzing. But if you don't have a Poker 2's, and for some insane reason you don't want to buy it, even the trial, then if you have a hand or situation that you would like to see how to analyze the situation with Poker 2's, or you want to know how often the opponent has something, or how profitable our bluff catch is against decent or some kind of opponent, or how profitable our shove is if opponent's calling range is this and that, and so on, feel free to post it on the forums. I like using Poker 2's. So if you have a hand, just post it to forums and I will do the work for you for free. How nice is that? On the outside table, we're trying to make a river bluff when the board pairs and the opponent is thinking and finally folds. Woo! The other cat has given opinions. I'm not going to fight against this Mersumi as we see. He can float, he can semi-buff, he can do all kind of aggressive stuff. To me, it looks like a player who is just trying to get action. So I'm not going to start the bluffing war with him. Let's just get value from him. Most of the value comes from bluff catching. Here on number one, I'm going to bet the turn for protection. No one should have a trips or better. And now the board flushes. It's hard for him to value bet any flush, and he had it just a queen. So we actually got value from the queen. Wow. Never fold top pair. Table 3, I'm going to check back. And then just give up. Oh, now we have a problem in the stream. Yeah, it's kind of hiccup. Everything freezes for a few seconds and no idea why that is happening. It might be my computer. Sometimes when I just reboot my computer, all the problems disappear. Let's try to hold on for 15 minutes. Top pair and cut shot. Let's start with the chip and let's see what happens. And it's peel for the turn. Turn is a blank. Now, Willis shouldn't be barreling here with weak hands or air, because when two people call, we should have enough hands that we are going to call the turn. So he doesn't have 40 equity on the turn, and now when he checks, it is someone might have a jack 5 or jack 5. Or some kind of weak two pairs, but quite often our ace queen is going to be the best hand. But we can probably open any 4 here on table 2, so folding that hand on the button was a mistake. Should have raised, definitely. UV folds 90% from the small blind, and blue balls folds 75% on the big blind. So huge folding equity pre-flop. Let's make a bet here. On table 1, we shouldn't be or get check raised often. And now the thing is that we are blocking queen high flush, so we might get value from jack high flush. The thing is that he is a passive, so I'm going to actually get value from him. If he raises, I'm going to just fold. We have the third nuts, and he folds. So if he has jack or 10 high flushes, we definitely get value. If he might have set or 2 pair, he might call. But the thing is that if he has a jack high flush, he can easily call turn and river. But if he's a regular or better player, he's not going to give us 2 streets of value with jack or 10 high flushes. So we're going to get only 1 street of value, and by checking the turn and then betting the river, we get easier, or we get that value more easily than by just barreling the turn and rivers. And when we check the turn against regular, he might bluff the river with some kind of missed straight draw or with even air. Yeah, sometimes people do limp fold pre-flop, which is really insane in PL, especially if there's no free bets. You limp and someone opens and then you fold. So how weak your hand should be. And if it's that weak, why do you limp? But the nice thing is that most of the recreationalists don't really understand a lot about PL or starting hands, or what kind of hands are strong ones. They might think that King Jack 8-5 is actually strong because there's 2 Broadway cards. And then some kind of 9-8-7-5 is a weak hand because they are all under 10. They don't understand a thing about rundowns. Which is sometimes hard to get along, because if they like open 10%, you might assume that okay, it's the top 10%, but when someone is real crazy, it might not be. They can easily fold top 10% of the hand and then play some top 25% of the hand because they think it's stronger. Wow, top set. I'm going to make a. Can we make 1.1? No, we can. Let's bet 1. I really want to see bet because 17 and 12. If he has a hand, he's going to call, and if he doesn't, he's going to fold. So our bet sizing doesn't really affect that much. And we know that Blue Balls has made some calls with like top pair. So I'm going to make a big C, but if he has a flush, he's not going to fold it. He thinks, but he's going to call. And if he has a straight draw, it's really hard to get value from him anyway. What? When this type player raises, now is the time when I'm really worried about the quads, but you can't be afraid of the quads. Why doesn't it go? Come on. What? Fuck. I did press the raise, but there was problem with the internet connection. Yeah, for fuck's sake. I really hope he had that once, because we folded the not full house. And there was 8 seconds on the timer when I pressed the shove. So I think that he might have Jack 9 is in his range too. So we just might miss a lot of money there. Damn, that was a nasty spot to have an internet problem. So now I know that the problem is in my computer or in my connection, probably in my internet connection. But that sucks. Now we don't know if he has the quads, but he sat out, so that probably wasn't the quads. People often sit out when they make a big bluff. Or then he's just tired. Who knows? Damn. Doesn't happen often that you hit the flop set and turn pairs and you can shove. But kind of annoying, but there's nothing we can do other than invest in better internet connection. But it has worked previously. Well, now we can get our money back. We flop the bottom set and open ender against this Mercedes-Benz guy. Let's make a small raise. Let's induce something. And now I think he's committed. Let's see if he has a jacks or sevens. No, he has aces. So we are in decent shape and we held up. So we got the money back that we lost here. Almost going 3 digits. How do you pronounce digits? Digits. Well, when you have 3 numbers in your stack, 3 figures. No. Another top set. We are running sick today. Quads everywhere, top sets everywhere, nuts everywhere. Do we get action? Wow. I hope he has sevens. It's one of those situations that you really hope that the opponent has a set instead of flush draw. Oh, thank God we held up, because it was a nice spot. It's so rare that you hope your opponent to have a set instead of draw, but when you are having the top set, that flush draw often has 35% equity. I'm going to make a c-bet here. Board is somewhat dry. And small 3-bet here to induce this Finnish regular to repop me. Do we win the pot on table 2? No, we get raised. Oh, I'm just going to roll. Well, nice that we hit the trips. Let's make a really small c-bet. No, didn't induce anything. If the internet wasn't so nasty for us, and assuming blue balls didn't have the quads, then we would have here 90 euro stack. But let's just assume he had the quads and we made a hero fold. Probably someone is watching this on YouTube without the sound and just sees that I folded pocket jacks there on Jack 9-9 board and makes a comment then. What a fish. Hasn't happened lately. Haven't received a lot of YouTube comments as all of these coachings go to YouTube. Some time ago there was always in 2-hour coaching someone watched the whole 2 hours for the win and picked up one hand where I made a marginal fold pre-flop and comment is, how can you call yourself a coach? You folded ace queen 7-5 from small blind. Yeah. Well, I folded nuts on the river. I chipped nuts last to act on the river. I folded double-suited aces pre-flop. This time I folded not full house, but it was the internet connection. I have made a lot of nice mistakes during the coachings, and it happens. Now clock is 11:30, so we are going to end the session, and I'm pretty confident that we made profit because we didn't. I don't know if we have reloaded other than few bucks, and we have 25, 65, 85, 35, and on the outside table we have almost 45 euros. So huge payday. And it would be a major downswing to lose it all now in the last hand. Here we have open ender and middle pair, backdoor flush draw. I am going to call this c-bet. And if he fires the turn, I'm going to fold. But often he checks. And then we can decide if we want to bluff. Oh, he fires. And we fold. And we are going to play the small blind. Oh, now we can 4-bet. We can happily assume that it is aces. So we have premium ace cracking hand. We call and we flop the nuts. And now the question is, or does he have aces with the flush draw? And he does. Let's see if we can. We can't. So lost $24 there. Have to lose one hand. But we got the money in 57% favorite. How can how can he have 43 when he has just the flush draw? 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can someone, because flush draw has 35% equity to hit. And he doesn't have a backdoor flush draw, he doesn't have backdoor straight draws. How can he have 43%? Flush draw is 9 out of 41. Why? Honestly, I don't know why. Why does he have 43% on the flop? Can someone explain me? Because, well, yes, he have a chance to make the full house, but that doesn't make up that many percents in my mind. Let me see if I can find the hand. Here There it is. 43. Am I missing something here? We have the straight, and he has just the flush draw and overpair, and he has 43% on the flop. How can that be? It can make a straight. He has a 4, so he has some full house outs. Wow. I would assume that I was 65% favorite, but I'm just 57. I don't get it. I have to check it on equity calculator. Because if that is true, then I learned something today. And when you learn something, it's a pretty damn good day. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a flush draw. He has 43. Wow. Has to be right then. Well, yeah. He gets then around 6% from the full house out, which is quite high in my mind. Does it change if this is 3 of diamonds? No, it's still 42. What the crap? Well, so be it. Can't argue with the facts. This is how we ended. We ran $20 over EV, so can't really complain. Losing that one pot, we are still running over EV, and we run really hard today. So despite losing the last all-in, and despite forced to fold, not full house, we ran SIP. And if you win 5.5 buy-ins in 5.5 hands, then it's SIP. When your BB per 100 win rate is 91 and all-in adjusted is 74, you know it's a pretty damn good day. But yeah, I bet it. And now the shareholders win around $80 or so good day for you too. But now it's time for me to go and rest my back, and I'll see you all next Friday. Next Friday is I don't know what's it called in English. It's Vappu in Finnish. Basically, it's a working class holiday, or was today in modern era. It's just a day when everyone gets really drunk, and all the students crawl over the streets in their jumpsuits or whatever, whatever it is. They have these stupid clothes, and they are drunk as hell, and it's just a good excuse to be drunk for a few days. So we have that holiday on next weekend, so probably on Friday we will have some kind of balloons and stuff going on. Who knows? Let's see you next Friday. Well, now, have a nice night. If you're going to sleep, have a nice Saturday if you're going to have fun. And I'll see you on the next week. Bye bye.